Let's talk football. Micah, right decision by Manchester United to get rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, or have they just killed Bambi?
His interview was heartbreaking, wasn't it? If you know, from a human level, it's never nice to see that. But of course, it was the correct decision. I mean, in terms of, I think we tried to give a little bit of balance on this show, and we said this season is when we were going to judge him, and unfortunately, he's not been good enough against Man City, against Liverpool, then losing to Watford. Yeah, they went arguably down to 10 men, but I think the time had come, and it's always difficult when you're talking about someone losing their job because it's not nice, and we're in an industry where, you know, people think it's okay to call for people's head, which it's not, because he's a human at the end of the day. But if we're talking based just on football, he wasn't good enough for Man United, and he did well to sort of galvanise the squad, get them back happy again. I think happy is the correct word to use for that. But in terms of tactics, in terms of know-how, in terms of experience, he was miles off the rest of what is going against.
All on him, Micah. All on him.
I don't think you can say it's all on him, because if you look at the Glazers, if you look at the backroom staff, something obviously he's not ticking. But in terms of the manager, his sole job is to get the best out of the players. And you've got Varane, and when you bring in Sancho, when you bring in Ronaldo, what more as a manager do you need? And that's what we have to judge him on. We have to judge him on the performances on the pitch, and the performance of the pitch have not been good enough. It's as simple as that.
mnc@bbc.co.uk if you want to email us. I think you can still do the WhatsApp 08085 909 I think I've no idea. I'll throw it out there. 85058 if you want to text, and the usual ways if you want to get in touch on the social media cesspit. Rob, for you, is it now they've sacked him and they've put that statement out? Is anything any clearer? Does anything really change at the moment for you?
I can't see it. Not at the moment. I don't think. I would say that as much as it was heartbreaking, as Mike was saying, I get the feeling, and it reminds me in a way of Mike Ashley at Newcastle. He was saying, right, let them have this lightning rod for criticism and everything, as long as we can keep it going as long as possible. Leave him in there. Just leave him in, because as long as everyone's question's there for them, then the question isn't on us in terms of owners. And now the focus is on them, saying, what are you going to do? And I don't think they thought it through, have they? The timing of it was poor. It gave him the international break, and then one game when they could have bought themselves a couple of weeks, and we didn't learn anything more from that Watford game that we didn't know already. And so from there, it's not clearer. I don't know. You know, we're going from an interim, a caretaker to an interim to a full time. It's just stalling. It's the whole thing stinks of buying time. And I think from the start, leaving him in as long as they did, they were just buying time.
Chris?
Yeah, I agree with both Micah and Rob. I mean, the situations are, you know, it's. I think Mark Ogden used the word chaos, and that's absolutely right. There's so much uncertainty. What I don't understand is, so when they made the statement about, you know, we know that they had to get a caretaker interim in place, but why would they say they're searching for another interim? Why wouldn't you just say you're searching for another manager? And if you know something pans out in a particular way, it pans out in a particular way. I just don't understand that. That's what you know. So they're going to have another trialist in. That's what Stenhouse-Muir do in Scottish League 2. They get a trialist in, and if they pass the test, then they give him a contract. I mean, that's embarrassing. That's amateur stuff. This is the self-proclaimed biggest club in the world, and they don't have a contingency plan.
Chris,
Aston Villa had a contingency plan.
Chris, do you think it was just the manner of the defeat to Watford though? Because in their heads, they think of owners. I'm just trying to give a little bit of balance. Do they think, well, we're not going to lose against Watford? Do you know what I mean? The search for the man, but it got so bad that they just had to make a decision.
Yeah. It was sheer panic. When I don't know where you were on Saturday afternoon. I don't know where the guys were, but I was watching the Norwich game. I had my eye on the Watford game, and when the fourth went in, I think we must have all thought the same thing. He's not going to last the evening. He's not going to last the weekend. I think we must have all thought that this is the end game for him. There's no way back for him. It was the manner of the loss. Had they lost 1-0, 2-1, then maybe he would have kept his job, and Manchester United, would have kept chugging along and maybe hung around a Europa spot, fourth place, whatever. They got a talented team, but it hasn't happened this season. And you made the point about the signings, Micah. I totally agree. This had to be the season, and also what Micah said yesterday on the television about Conte. A total 100% with Mike. Who do Manchester United actually think they are? What sort of club have they become that Antonio Conte cannot become a manager of Manchester United? A guy who's gone around and won league titles in all sorts of different countries. A guy who builds clubs, takes them on to the next level. Who do Manchester United actually think they are that they can't have a guy like that in charge? That's amazing arrogance. Delusion.
Don't you think that Ole originally was sort of the interim guy anyway? That's what he got appointed at however many years ago. And he got appointed when they were sixth. They won nothing in that period of time. And now they're eighth. They've not really. They're literally doing the same as what they've done before, and it's just the buying. They did sort of bought themselves some time originally, and now they're doing the same again. They're not learning. They're not going forwards. They're not doing anything. Yes, they've made some signings. It's not massive for them, for the budget, for the turnover that Manchester United get. It's not the millions and millions that they could do. So I just think it's been a bit of a con from the start, really.
Do you think though, Rob, is because they went on that little bit of a run? You remember there was unbeaten, and the whole meme with Rio Ferdinand saying get the contract out, let him sign. So there were signs of improvement at that time, but I think I have to agree with you in terms of he was never experienced enough. I don't think to take them forward.
No, they fell into it. It wasn't planned, was it? They just went, "Oh, crikey, he's done all right. Give him the job."
He passed the trial, didn't he, Rob? He passed the trial period. Yeah. He had a good run.
But I don't think with you look at the likes of a Thomas Tuchel or a Klopp or a Pep Guardiola, and they say, "Where did it go right? Where did it go wrong today?" And where is it going to go right, and what we're going to do? I don't think on a game-to-game basis, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have been able to turn around and give you a precise tactical insight and work out a system. And after this period of time, you turn around and saying, well, how do they score goals? What's their identity in breaking teams down? Their identity, the best games that they had was when they defended and broke away. They're Manchester United. You're not going to get that game all the time. So I think they really struggled in that regard.
Just on the mess that they find themselves in, then, Chris, at the moment, one of the reasons I am led to believe that they are in the mess that they are in now is that they didn't want to approach anybody behind Solskjaer's back because of Solskjaer's status at the club from when he was a player. So, on the one hand, you could see that as admirable, couldn't you? On the other hand, they appear to have done by not talking to him, if that is to be believed, by not talking to anybody in advance of getting him, they've now left themselves with this massive vacuum where they've got to start the process once they've removed him. So they're behind the eight ball.
How many? I mean, honestly, how many clubs do we know who wouldn't have a contingency plan if something went wrong? None. Look what Rangers did. Okay, Aston Villa approached Steven Gerrard, and they take Steven Gerrard, down to Villa, And Ross Wilson, the Rangers sporting director, said he had a list of managers who he was aware of, and they were ready, in the case that Steven Gerrard eventually left. This happens at every football club. Every football club, I think we all know, bar one. Manchester United, the biggest club in the world. That's mismanagement. That's what that is. I keep thinking, we keep hearing there is no plan. I'm finding this so difficult to believe. I really, really am. There must be something there. But there doesn't seem to be.
Are we saying that, sorry, we haven't got someone in place because we're too nice? Is that what they're saying? As the Glazers, as Manchester United, as people around that club, we said, but we're nice people. Yeah, I can't buy it. I can't accept that.
After just trying to go into the Super League as well,
exactly.
Rob. Come on, come on.
The book, yeah.
Come on.
We'll come more onto the managers shortly. Who's available as? So hang on. We're saying Carrick's caretaker. Is that what we're saying? Carrick's caretaker. Then they look for an interim. Then they look for a permanent.
No, it's interim, isn't it? It's interim to interim, is it not?
Well,
no, until he wins 12 on the bounce.
So interim, then caretaker. What?
And then he'll win 12 on the bounce and he'll get the job full time. Yeah.
Right. And we'll come on to all the different possibilities for the different managerial roles as Manchester United look to have 3 different ones in the space of 6 months. First of all, this is what Harry Maguire, though, had to say about Solskjaer's departure.
It's been a very hard time for us as players as well, because the amount of respect that we have for the boss and what he's done for a lot of us over the last 2.5 years period, which he's been here. We've been on a journey together. It's never nice to see someone lose the job, and for him to come in and speak to us yesterday, the emotion around the place, I think, was difficult to be in. And I think all the lads, it showed as a group of lads how much we wanted to succeed. And I think, like you've said, the result on Saturday, it wasn't good enough, but the results of recent have ultimately not been good enough, and it's a result business, and unfortunately Ollie's paid the price for that, and obviously we've got to take a big responsibility of that as well. I think in football you go through ups and downs and you go through tough times. I think if you look at the players now at this club, you probably speak to a lot and they'll probably say it's probably the toughest time of their career at club level. We know it's not been good enough. The recent performances haven't been good enough. We haven't been delivering individually but also collectively, and when you're not doing it collectively, the results pay the price. And like I said, it's snowballed from one thing to another, but we've got to take huge responsibility for that, and we've got to find something within ourselves. We've got to look forward, we've got to move forward, we've got to move this club forward, and we've got to find something within ourselves, within the group, to find that focus, to find that mentality, to go and produce a good performance tomorrow and get the result that we need for this club.
He said there, Micah, it's a big part of our responsibility that he's lost his job. It's all on them, isn't it? Bearing in mind, David De Gea on Saturday afternoon said to us on a sports report, they can't defend and they don't know what to do with the ball.
No, it's not all on the players. It's collective, isn't it? I mean, if the manager's giving you instructions, don't he's not. Yeah, I know, but he's trying to implement his style of play. It's obviously not worked. The players are not taking it on board. But some of these players are just. We're talking about international players. We're not talking about schoolboy players. So I can't quite. And I really like Harry Maguire in terms of. I think he's good in interviews. I think he had an amazing Euros. He's always first to say if he's not played well. But I just believe some of the United players, they're always coming out with excuses. They're always talking about, well, we've got to take more responsibility. So take responsibility on the pitch. Don't take it in your interview afterwards. You know what I mean? We're not talking. These are supposed to be top quality players. For as much as Solskjaer wasn't good enough, and we've come to that conclusion, which is fair. It was too big of a job for him. Too soon in his career. He might go on and have a successful managing career later down the line. It was too soon for him. But if you're talking about the players on the pitch, surely they can do more than what they're doing. Some of them players, they're throwing him under the bus, I think.
This, Michael, by the way, this isn't a dig at certain times in your career. Did you ever come out and did you ever come out and apologise or I mean, Twitter was around, I suppose, towards the end of it.
No, it was. Oh, trust me, Twitter was out there, and I felt it.
Oh, yeah.
It was tough. No, but it's different. It's different because we was at Aston Villa. We had about 12 players coming, and we just wasn't good enough. The Man United players are good enough. That is the difference. Do you know what I mean? We was trying, but we didn't have the quality. The Man United players have the quality.
Because I think Micah is right, Chris. A lot of United fans are like, for God's sake, stop it. I mean, seriously, stop apologising to us every week. That's what United fans will say. And maybe do something about it.
Yeah, totally right. But, when Micah talks about the quality, they have the quality in possession. And I'll go back, and I don't want to go back over old ground. One of the biggest issues this season was Solskjaer being crowbarred into signing Ronaldo, and we know all the goals he scored and did the thing the other week.
Don't do the fish.
I'm not going to do the fish again. But I'm telling you, it's a massive problem for them. Out of possession, players coming off the pitch, not really breaking sweat. Fernandes, Ronaldo. It's an issue. You don't see it with Manchester City. You don't see it with Liverpool. You don't see it with Chelsea. They are superb out of possession. It's a huge part of football. It's Manchester United's biggest problem. Now, look, Solskjaer, did he want to sign Ronaldo? I'm not so sure he did. He just did as he's told, and he wasn't a big enough personality to deal with Ronaldo, in my view.
Okay, Chris, but that kind of turn it on its head. If you was the manager of Man United and you got offered Ronaldo, would you have taken him? I think, if we're being honest, we all would, wouldn't we?
Well, this is so hypothetical, isn't it? Well, did Bonucci say that Juventus were better off without Ronaldo when Ronaldo? No. They were more of a team. I think he did say that.
Yes. He
said more of a team.
He was misquoted. He basically said that other players within the team now have to take more responsibility. That's what he said. And he said that if he would have went, it would have been nice for him to go at the start of the window rather than leaving it right until the end, so then they could bring someone in to replace him. That's what he said.
What was Manchester United's primary purpose when they signed Ronaldo? Was it to sell shirts?
Score goals. We score goals.
Was it to sell? Was selling shirts part of the thinking as well? Though I'm just putting it.
Yes, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Go on, Rob. What?
It was to stop Manchester City signing him as well.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
But Chris, on a serious note, are you telling me? Play devil's advocate. If you went to Manchester City, you telling me?
I don't think Manchester City would have signed him. I don't think Liverpool would sign him. I don't. Look, these managers, City's manager, Liverpool's manager, and Chelsea's manager, they're strong enough characters to say that if you're not running, you're not playing. The game has changed. You can't carry passengers anymore. Now, he's a tremendous player. He's a goal scorer, all the individual accolades, and you can chuck goals at me. I understand that. But if you don't have 11 players, 10 outfield players running and pressing the ball, it's a huge problem. It's a team game. And that's where I think Manchester United fall down.
One other thing on the Ronaldo signing, Rob, and you may have seen this at other clubs when players come in, there is a theory around that actually just by signing him, his presence, not that he's done anything wrong here, has kind of intimidated some of the other players, and that has changed how they are behaving or playing on the field because of his presence.
I think you'd see that if he left. I think you see people play with more freedom, and I've seen it in the past. If that is the case, and people just go, "Oh, breath of fresh air! I can do what I need to do. I'm not." Trying to get the ball to Ronaldo all the time, but it is something that I think Chris touches on something there. But it's part of the team ethos in there. If you've got one man or two men who are bigger hitters within there, and you've seen Cristiano Ronaldo walk down the tunnel this season, and this is undisputed, throw his arms up and storm off. The message it sends to the rest of the team, and. You know what? It's tough when you're in that dressing room and you see someone do that. And as a teammate, you want to say something, but you've got one of the biggest players in the world doing it. It's tough to bring it around, but one of you has to do it. And unless you address that, it starts. And it starts to rot, and it starts to change within the dressing room. And I'm not saying that is it, and I'm not saying that's the case, but in my experience, unless you have someone strong enough, and that includes the manager as well, to go, whoa, let's deal with it, then it festers.
So have you been in dressing rooms where Divas strops have cast a cloud over everybody else?
Oh, I had Divas all the time. Yeah, I was throwing strops left, right, and centre.
Right, no, it was you, was it? Right.
Yeah. No, I think you really do need a proper group of players who are greater than their actual probably abilities. Some of the parts is one that, and you do need that. And sometimes you have a dressing room where you have to cater for one player, but everyone else buys into it. But there is occasions where it has been, right, we've got to nip this in the bud now.
But that's more the manager's responsibility, Rob, isn't it? I take your point with the players and self-policing the dressing room, but if the manager's strong enough anyway, it's not a problem.
You'd hope, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes, in certain instances, they're not.
We're going to hear, before either of the other two say it, I'm aware it's my Diva Strops that can cast a cloud over the Monday Night Club, because I know you're itching to say it, so I might as well just say it now. Finn, who's 13 and runs a footy pod for teenagers called JFG Football Talk, has emailed us, mnc@bbc.co.uk, which is an interesting point here from a player's point of view, Micah. By going for a caretaker then an interim, or an interim and a caretaker, will there be players at Manchester United who will feel that they've had a year of their career wasted, and maybe even ruin their chances of getting to a World Cup?
That is a very good question, to be honest, because not particularly, because you take responsibility for your own performance. Yes, if they would have had a better coach, it could have developed them a little bit better. But I think up until the last, say, 6-7 weeks, because at the start of the season we was all saying with Ole, this is his chance, he can show what he can do. And I think when I speak to players from Man United, they have nothing but good things to say about Ole. So I think in terms of, he must have been a people person. Them sort of managers that just give you confidence, but just didn't have the tactical nous to get him over the edge. So for some players, yes, they want to be playing for the best managers. Of course they do. But look what he's done for someone like Luke Shaw. He had a torrid time under Mourinho. Solskjaer, he's turned his career around, not by maybe anything tactical, but just putting his arm around him. So I can understand arguments for both. Sometimes players respond to an arm around them, and sometimes people need a rollicking. So in terms of some players, yes, they would feel a little bit like it's a waste of their year, but some players definitely not.
Chris has one of those smirks on his face.
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you can think like that as a player. You just have to get on with whatever situation you're dealt with. That's part of the job, isn't it? So while I understand the question of players are in the team, they're out of the team, it's sort of irrelevant in a way, isn't it? Because you dealt your cards. I mean, if a new manager comes in, you just have to get on with it. It's not ideal, of course. And at Manchester United, a lot of Manchester United fans are saying, Donny van der Beek, why didn't he play more? Why wasn't he given more of an opportunity? He'd be one of those players in that category where his career, when he went to Manchester United, so much excitement, his career has taken a massive downturn, and this may be the making of him.
It comes back to that collective responsibility. You won't think this is a waste of a year. You'll think, I've let him down. Whether you've been playing or not or whatever, you've seen a guy who bleeds the club, loves the club, is a nice fella. And sometimes that's what you want as a player. That's what I like. Do you like to play for someone who you liked? And you don't know what's around the corner now. You won't be thinking, oh, this has been a waste because we're not going to win anything. They could still win something. You'll feel that responsibility that you haven't done enough.
How can they win something though? If you're in that Manchester United dressing room, okay, and this statement has come out about, Michael Carrick coming in and we're going to get an interim manager in. Have Manchester United with that with this plan, so-called plan, have they not written off this season?
As a player, would you not believe you'd win something?
But by the nature of the route which the club want to go down, the hierarchy at the club have sort of said, well, we're writing this season off. We're not, our ambition isn't there, aren't they? Because otherwise they do what most clubs do and say, right, we're going to go for the best candidate. Manchester United don't seem to be doing that. They want to get the best candidate for the start of the next season. Explain that.
Let's move on to the managerial side of it. Let's hear from the interim caretaker boss. Here is Michael Carrick.
In terms of what I've been told, what I understand, and kind of my thought process, really, mindset is preparing the team for tomorrow night, giving it my best. Obviously know the boys very well, know the staff very well, know the club very well. This club's been in my life for an awful long time now, and so it's the sacrifice and dedication that you've got to get and you've got to give. I'm prepared to do that. Obviously, however long it takes, I'm prepared to do that for whether it's one game, whether it's two games, whether it's a little stretch longer than that. Right now, I'm not too sure, but. That's not something that's on my mind. It's literally about tomorrow. It's a big game, obviously, for us in terms of the group stages and trying to get through on that. And I'll just go about my job exactly as I know and trust myself, trust the people that I've got behind me and the staff and the players and prepare us right and go there positive and look forward to the game. It's a fantastic game to be playing and it's a fantastic game of football. These are the nights that you're tested and that you remember when you push to the limit, and they're the ones when you find out really what you've got. And I'm really looking forward to I was looking forward to today and the team and preparing the players, and looking forward to hugely to tomorrow night. Obviously, I've worked closely with Ollie for a long time now, and we do have very similar beliefs. We did as players, we certainly do as coach and manager. So yes, of course, I've got my own personality and to Ollie, but of course, it's very similar because that's why we worked together for so long and worked together well for a period of time. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not giving too much away of what my plans are, but I'm very clear in my own mind what we want to do, how we want to play, how we want to go about it, and looking forward to seeing it on the pitch.
Rob Green, is that a good thing or a bad thing that he has very similar beliefs to Solskjaer?
Well, I think it's two ways. I think one is the communication of those beliefs and how you put them across. Can you make them as clear as you can before tomorrow night? There is minimal he can do in the space of effectively 24 hours and one training session. I don't think he can make that many changes, and I'll be wondering.
He has to change something. He has to change something, though, doesn't he, Rob? If you're coming in as caretaker and the players had lost faith in what the previous manager was doing, maybe not all of them, but some of them, they weren't performing. Whatever the reason was for this awful run of form, you can't go in, can you, as the caretaker and do exactly the same thing? You've surely got to change something for the players. What
can he do in 48 hours, Mark? I totally take your point, but Carrick's in a hell of a situation here. What can he do in 48 hours?
Can you change some of the personnel? Can you start Van der Beek? Can you, I don't know, play Dallo instead of Wan-Bissaka? I don't know. I'm trying to say, surely you have to do something to give everybody a kick up the backside.
I think that's happened, hasn't it? By sacking the manager. I think that's the wake-up call that should be the case, to say it's not good enough. And you're saying about personal responsibility, you look at yourselves now, and I don't think he can change it that much between a Saturday and a Tuesday. He can't. It's just not capable. I mean, they've already tried. They've tried 3 at the back. They've tried 4 at the back. They've tried 4 different formation changes this season. They played a double pivot. They've lost one of the double pivot. They've tried pretty much everything they can do and still come unstuck. So where he goes, I mean, I don't know. What I do know from what he said there is the communication's been minimal, hasn't it? It's been virtually nothing.
That's what I mean. When it comes down to it now, it's talking about this is a club thing now, isn't it? How can you go from Solskjaer, who's got little experience, then to give it to Carrick while you then find another manager? Just let that sink in. We're talking about Man United here. Every time you go on, oh, Man United the biggest, they're not acting like the biggest club in the world. Far from it. It's absolute shambolic. What's happening at Man United now is a shambles. Absolute shambles. And certain people, and yes, Ole deserves a lot of the flack, but the board deserve flack as well. How can this happen? How can this happen? You've just spent how much on the players and Sancho and Varane, and now poor Carrick has to go take on a team who's, with no experience. It just makes zero sense. They've got zero plan, and yeah, if you're going to act like that, you deserve that, because it's ridiculous. I can't even believe we're talking about that. We're talking about a man who's a coach who's getting the job, then to look for an interim till the end of the season before they find the right man. And then before that, Conte was available 2 weeks before. They don't go for Conte. And now, again, they've got someone with no experience at the helm of Man United. It just goes from bad to ridiculous.
Your question about, I wonder why Michael Carrick said, Mark, that he had similar beliefs to Ole. I don't know whether he actually, properly telling the truth, but if you're a Manchester United fan and you're thinking this guy's taking the helm now, and we know us in an interim caretaker capacity, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be a worry, isn't it? And, of course, I think you mentioned it earlier, there are a lot of United fans out there who are saying, well, Ole's the manager, of course, he's been the scapegoat, but is it a clean sweep which Manchester United need? Kieran McKenna, does he need to go as well? Mike Phelan, does he need to go? Carrick, and we get a whole new team in. You see the changes, Aston Villa have made. They've brought a whole new team in from Rangers. Dean Smith has come in with Craig Shakespeare. Eddie Howe has gone to Newcastle, a whole new team in. And I think the fans understand then that there's going to be a different voice, a different philosophy, and can understand a club with a new direction and a new identity. This is very, very samey at Manchester United, and if you're a Manchester United fan, you cannot think that things are going to change that much whether Carrick takes over or not. I may be doing Michael Carrick a disservice here, and he may go in and play a totally different way and somehow get Ronaldo to actually chase the ball around, and Fernandes as well, and we'll all say, wow, that's incredible, but I just don't smell it.